Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And the content that I'm going to show you tonight is when a gun controller slips and tells you exactly what they want, i.e. gun confiscation, literally what the examples used were. It's amazing how fast they back away from that when they realize they are caught, which speaks to something much larger and the fact that we are on the right path. Everything will be linked in the description box below, and I cannot wait to hear what you guys think about this one in the comments field. And if you are new or you're a returning viewer, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, and making sure you turn that notification bell on. We need as many people as we can to get into the fold with us so we can share this information and pass the blessing of the Second Amendment along to the next generation. And thank you so much in advance for your consideration. The content tonight is brought to you by Lear Capital. Now, last year, investors had a terrible time, and there's talk that in 2023 could be even worse with a looming recession that some of us feel is coming. But what an impressive past year it was for gold investors. It not only protected them from loss, but they also gained in value. And 2023 is looking even better, as some experts are predicting an 100% increase or $4,000 per ounce. I love gold and silver and believe it is the safe haven asset to protect your savings and retirement against inflation and recession. If you're interested in investing in gold, I suggest you call my friends at Lear Capital. To learn more, go to learlangley.com or call the number on your screen right now. There's also a link in the description box for your convenience, and thank you so much to Lear Capital for making this content possible. But all right, my brothers and sisters, we have got to dive into this because, again, the goal is confiscation. We know this is the case. They've said it on multiple occasions, but they have this pesky little thing around public perception and around gun control that kind of conflicts with the Constitution a wee bit. I'm going to show you something. Again, it's linked down there, but this is really important to understand the why, because the way that this leader on the Democrat side of the aisle backs off this is really telling. Check this out. Randy Weingarten calls for gun confiscation. Must, quote, have the courage to do what Australia and New Zealand did. Scotland, Australia, and New Zealand all took away guns from their citizens after mass situations. Well, we know the history. We know that is the desired effect. Even the sitting senators, presidents, anyone that you can imagine has said the Australian model is the way to go. It's about confiscation, whether it's a buyback or it's a mandatory buyback or it's just surrender it at your nearest hardware store. The point is they want them gone. But listen to what happens when they went too far in this description. This is important. Teachers Union President Randy Weingarten called for the gun confiscation on Tuesday, saying the U.S. must follow, quote, what other great democracies have done to ban guns following the shooting in Nashville. Well, here's the part where it gets really fascinating because they let the cat out of the bag a little bit and then they walk it back. The question is, why do they walk it back? That's where we're going to focus on in 1 second, but let me show you what they did. Quote, today we renew our call for common sense gun safety legislation, including a ban on assault weapons. This is an epidemic, Weingarten said. Well, imagine that, an epidemic. There's the coin phrase again, and here's where they got in trouble. She added, quote, it's an epidemic that our great nation must solve. And how many lives will be shattered before we have the courage to do what Scotland did, what Australia did, what New Zealand did, and what other great democracies do? We must solve this epidemic, and that's up to us. I'm just going to put a little history note in here. Germany was considered the top leading nation in Europe around 1930. They were a great model for democracy. They had representation. They had all sorts of parties in the governing body of Germany. Just want to throw that out there. Anyway, let's keep going because they just named very specific points. Now, this is what the article points out, and then she backs up. Check this out. Democratic politicians frequently point to Scotland, Australia, and New Zealand banning guns in the wake of mass situations to support gun bans in the United States. Scotland got the UK to ban handguns, and Australia issued a mandatory gun buyback program in '96 of semi-automatic rifles and shotguns. Meanwhile, New Zealand enacted a semi-automatic weapons ban days after the 2019 Christchurch shooting that killed 50 people. Bans and mandatory buybacks all necessitate the confiscation of guns to be enforced. This is where it gets interesting. Check this out. While appearing later on MSNBC, no friend of the Second Amendment, quote, Weingarten claimed her words had been doctored to suggest she had called for gun confiscation. Listen to what she says. Quote, frankly, I saw today in my speech when I called on us to do a moment of silence for the Tennessee Christian School to, in a speech that I was giving to public school parents and teachers, but to also renew a call for the assault weapons ban, and then somebody doctored the speech and said I was calling to confiscate guns. So all day long, that's what I've been dealing with, Weingarten said. Now this is the important piece and the whole point of this video. Hope you stuck around. Why? If the idea is to be modeled after Scotland, Australia, or New Zealand, and the desire is to bring back an assault weapons ban, there's no way that you can do that without saying confiscate all the guns. Again, mandatory buybacks, surrendering, or just straight out confiscation. Why do they feel the need to back off the confiscation? It's clearly what she wants. So why? And that's what we're diving into right this second. This is incredibly important to understand because even though that is the desired outcome, that is the desired effect, that is the outcome and goal. The reason they have to back off is because they've spent 40, 50 years telling you they don't want to take guns. That's just crazy right-wing conspiracy talk. We don't want to take guns. You just went too far. Whoa, 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 they're doctoring my speech. No, boo, we're just smarter than you think we are. You literally just laid out the framework for what you want to happen. That's already happened in other great democracies. And now you've got to back off. But again, why do you have to back off? He has to back off because if you let the cat out of the bag too much, everyone's going to see what you're genuinely trying to do. It's not like she goes, no, let's not confiscate guns. That's crazy. What she said was they doctored my speech, which they didn't doctor your speech. They inferred from history what you were referencing, and they made a pretty short leap of understanding. Everyone in the world understands this. It's a game the left plays. We don't want to take your guns. We just want to do common sense gun safety reforms. We don't want to take your guns. We just want to follow the model of Australia, New Zealand, and Scotland. They took our guns. Well, you're doctoring our speech. Nope. You just dropped the veil a little too low and we can see exactly what you intended. And that's the important piece of this video. If you hear nothing else, they're never going to say what they truly want. And when they say what they truly want, they have to back it off real hard and real fast because they know there's a conflict of the Constitution. There's a conflict of their purpose. There's a conflict of what they've been saying their entire time in their common sense gun reform vernacular. This is a marketing spiel, and she just dropped the ball, and that's why I'm covering this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.